Hi friends, hope you're doing well. This is now the fourth week since everything started shutting down. I was thinking about a sermon that I read many years ago, and it was a sermon preached and written by C.S. Lewis in Oxford, England in 1939. World War II had started and England was gearing up for war, and he preached this sermon in Oxford, and it's called Learning in Wartime. And his main point of the sermon is when we face major crisis in our culture, the temptation is to forget about everything else we are supposed to do and to become obsessed with the current crisis. So Lewis's point is, with the war coming, everybody is so concerned and worried about war. And his main point of the sermon is, well, each one of us is still called to be faithful in the small things. So in his particular line of work, he was a professor at Oxford at the time. His sermon was for students to continue to do their duty, to be faithful in their studies. Do your homework. Students that are off of school right now, you can still learn. It's okay. Do the small things faithfully. Lewis says this. He says, human culture has always had to exist under the shadow of something infinitely more important than itself. If men had postponed the search for knowledge and beauty until they were secure, the search would never have begun. We are mistaken when we compare war with normal life. Life has never been normal. And if you suspend the good of learning and seeking goodness and beauty, you will just end up filling your life with lesser pursuits. See, Lewis recognized the problem. When there is a crisis, we all can be so focused on it that we forget all the other normal pursuits of life. And Lewis says, well, if you don't read good books, you'll end up reading bad books. This is before the internet. I find myself, if I'm not reading good books right now, I just read everything that I can read on the internet, which is normally just, I've been reading a lot on COVID-19 and I still don't know a whole lot. And yet, what an opportunity we have in these days to read good books. So if you're having a hard time filling your time, pick up the scripture. Pick up other good books that you've been putting off for years and years and not reading. Do some good reading. If you are trying to find things to do, begin to practice your prayer life in a new and deeper way. Parents, if you are stuck at home with the children, which, believe me, I can relate with. Our kids are getting very squirrely. They really miss their friends. I think they're tired of us. Some of you parents are forced to homeschool for the first time and it's not your thing. Let me encourage you. You're probably doing a better job than you think. Your kids are learning far more from you right now than you realize. You'll be okay. And I think we can either approach this as our lives are turned upside down and nothing will be the same, or we can approach it as an opportunity that God has given us for today and to be faithful with that. And so Elijah and I are hanging out a little bit more than we normally do, and I need to see that as a gift. One of the things we're doing is I'm continuing to read through the book The Lord of the Rings with my older girls, and we're making a little bit more progress than we do on normal weeks. One thing for you at Riverview, just to take note, I'm going to send out an email later today on Holy Thursday. It will be kind of part Passover supper, but part looking at the upper room with Jesus and his disciples. And I encourage you to have a time around the table as a sacred time with your family. Let's be faithful in the small things. The temptation is to think that nothing else matters because of the current crisis, but the reality is all the little things matter now just as much, if not more, than they ever did. So go deeper. Be faithful in the things you can do. And trust God with all the big things going on in the world. May God bless you and keep you. May he encourage you, and may you just be faithful in all the little things. Have a great week. Miss you guys. God bless.